I'm so done with welding, man.
I'm sure your audience is done with it.
Yeah, I can tell by the lack of viewership.
It's like, geez, is he welding?
Still, dude, it's welding. It's not a big deal. Hey, and welcome back to another episode of Yogi's Garage. We're back with Project Pepper. If this is your first time visiting, welcome. We're working on a 2002 Porsche 911 Carrera. And for those of you who are my loyal subscribers, thank you for that. We're back to welding. We got to get the passenger seat back in there, and it's a slow process. So if you recall in my previous episode of welding, I had some gaps in the welds that I need to fill in, some pinholes, primarily around the larger section of the weld. So we're going to go take care of that today. My goal for this video is to at least get the bottom part sealed up with welds and then use seam sealer to seal it up to prevent moisture from getting in there. And then we got some other things like rust encapsulators that we're going to need to use on some other parts of the car as well. So we've got a lot of things to do. I got my dress shirt on underneath. Now actually it's a long sleeve shirt because we're getting ready to weld and grind, and I'm getting a little tired of taking a bath every 30 minutes whenever I grind a little bit of metal. So we're going to get back to it. Here we go. It's been a few weeks for me. I don't know how long it's been for you, so I'm trying to figure out where I left off. Oh yeah, right here. We got some big gaps in our welds here, completely unacceptable. I need to get in there and zap it really good and drop some good material in there to fill that hole up. I'm gonna attack some of these other ones, and like I said previously, I've used a pink Sharpie on a lot of the major spots here, and so that I can identify them when I'm ready to weld them up. And as far as grinding is concerned, I upgraded to a 40 grit flap disc from my 90-degree grinder as well as my angle grinder. So it shouldn't take a whole lot of effort to get the welds down, but I've already decided that I'm not gonna fully grind them down flush. There's really no point. I'm gonna get them more presentable, but I'm not gonna go that far. So let's get started. I'm set up, I'm ready to go. Since I hadn't worked on the welds, and this goes for anybody out there, whether you're in a climate controlled environment like where I am at currently, or if you're outside, especially if you're outside, you have to deal with flash rusting. So it's a good idea to just quickly wire wheel the area that you're gonna be working on, even though you may have already prepped it and cleaned it. If any time has passed, there's a good chance there might be a little bit of flash rust. So it doesn't hurt any to just grab a quick wire wheel and go at it. So this is my area that I'm gonna be working on right here. I'm gonna hit this really quick. All right, so we're good there. So that's nice and clean and prepped. So now I can come in with my welder and get that done. Oh, I feel like I've been welding for a long time, for at least 4 videos, maybe 3. I hope you guys enjoyed that previous video that I dropped last week around fixing the wiring harnesses. I did that a long time ago, and I was kind of saving it for a day or a week when I didn't have a video ready to go. I hope you enjoyed it. Those solder seals are pretty awesome. You should really think about doing that if you need to fix any of your wiring. All right, so let's get to zapping here. I'm gonna try to get in the hole. You can see how hot it gets. And at that point, like I said, you want to wait. All right, so I got a lot of filling to do. You see what I'm up to. There's no real reason to keep you engaged with me at this level. I'll bring you back in once I got all the welds done, which is cleaning the welds, grinding them down, and checking again for pinholes. I'm gonna get to work. I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, as I'm wrapping up the welding of the floor pan, I need to start plugging the holes that were created when I was drilling out the spot welds. So I'm doing some practice in here. I cut out some more of my donor over here, drilled some 3/8 inch holes because that's the typical diameter of a spot weld, is about 3/8 of an inch. And I'm using some copper as a backing plate. So in my previous videos, you did see that I was using copper. I'm gonna try it a couple of different ways. I'm gonna try with the copper backing plate, and then I'm gonna try without one, because there are some areas in the car where I won't be able to use a copper backer or brass or whatever. I do have a magnetic spoon coming in where it magnetizes on one end and it has a lever and it spring loads the other side against the hole. So I may try that out. But for right now, I need to get some practice in with my welding. I'm gonna dial it in about 0.9 millimeters on this. And the idea is this. I need to use a longer lead, maybe a little bit less than this, so that I'm basically just zapping it, zap. I'm gonna come around the circles, just zap, you know, zap, 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 and dropping material into that hole so that I could fill it up. I'm gonna do these two holes because there's a gap here. But I'm gonna start right here and just try to fill that in and see how that turns out. And then on this one, I'm gonna try without it and just try to bring it around and close the hole. So wish me luck. All right, there you go. You saw a few little zaps and it filled it up. I will say that it's a lot easier to fill up when you have a backer like copper. Absolutely, that's a lot easier. So what I want to try to do is now jump over here and do the same thing but without a backer. And what I need to do is start further back on the metal, on the material, and build a puddle and just kind of walk it around until I fill in the center. Here we go. And since I'm pretty much welding in midair, I want to protect my floors. All right, there you go. So you can see I just put a couple of blobs in a circle and I'm slowly just going to bring them in closer. You can't really weld in midair, right? So you got to start and kind of build a bridge and just slowly walk it across. A lot easier, like I said, when you have a copper backer. All right, let me set you up again and we'll keep going. What I want to do here is take the weld down a little bit so I don't have a big dome. I need it to be flat. That's the first one I did with the copper. I ground it down and now it's nice and flat. So that's my goal and I'm getting there. See, I ground down the weld. It's still thicker, so I still have enough metal to push it closed, but you can see it's a little bit more time consuming here without a backer. So the goal is to have a backer, but since I don't in some cases, I need to get some practice. I'm gonna try to close it up this time. Okay, I ground it down and you can see the holes. So like I said, you want to avoid creating big piles of material because more than likely you're just creating a dome. But this is fine, right? So I've got some good welding material that I can just build off of and creep it this way and I should be good. So nothing to really worry about, just something that you need to be aware of if you tackle something like this yourself. And keep in mind that you don't need to grind this down flat, right? Because it's just a spot weld, it's gonna be covered. If this was a panel weld or something that's exposed on the body, then yeah, you wanna grind that down flush with the metal itself. That way it looks OEM. But for spot weld plug filling, that looks like it's gonna work out pretty good. All right, so I have a plan. I'm gonna get some more practice in and then I'll start the camera back up when I'm ready to start working on the car so I can show you which holes I plan on plugging up. All right, it's been a couple of days since I took that last video you just saw. And like I said in the video, I'm gonna wait until I get a magnetic welding spoon. And well, it's here. After a couple of days, it came in from Amazon. And this particular thing I think is gonna be a lifesaver. It's a basic leverage technique, right? So you take this is the magnet end, you take it, and then you stick it onto the sheet metal, and then the other side is actually what covers up the hole. And then it's got it's got a tightening screw so you can shorten or extend how far out you want to go. And I think it also improves how much pressure you want to put on the other side of that. So I think this is going to be a very useful tool in Yogi's garage. It's a whole lot better than asking Yogi Mama to go up underneath the car and be my welding spoon. Now I've got something magnetic, we're all safe. Let's go test it out. Okay, this is the first hole I'm going to tackle, the first of many. A lot of these here, a lot of these up here you see also need to be addressed one at a time. I already ground it down, so I'm ready to go. Let's get this magnet set up here. Okay, so here's the spoon. Set it approximately right there. And then magnetize it. Okay. I see a problem. Look. It's too much rubberized undercoating. How great. Now I gotta get my mask on and grind all this down. Let me see if I can find another spot. Found a little bit more rust that I'm a little concerned with, so I need to look at that. Right there, it's green, whatever that is. So yeah, I need to take a peek at that up above. I think it may just be a towel. All right, well anyway, that's some rust. I may have to plug that too, or just put some seam sealer on it. I'm not sure. But anyway, if I set the magnet up here, I can do this one. If I set the magnet up here, I can do that one. This is the one I'm starting with. My only gripe about this thing is that there's a little bit of a gap. This thing doesn't go completely flat, see? And it's kind of not perfect, but I'm gonna try to make it work. It's better than not having anything there at all, but I need to have it pretty flush. And this is what it looks like on the business end. So I can see that I need to grind all this paint off, so I forgot to do that, but you can see that I got a nice backing there now, and it's perfect, it's flush. All I gotta do is grind this down, and I'm ready to go. All right, I've got this new pad on here, and it's a great stripper. It just takes all of the paint and primer off really, really quickly. Check it out. Pretty good, huh? Tools, I love them. May need to go a little bit hotter. The hole is slowly closing up. And I said it before, it looks kind of like a sphincter. Well, that sphincter's gonna close up. Don't get too close. I'm a good filler. Yeah, I like to fill plugs.
I'm good at that.
Wait, I like to fill holes with plugs. Is that better?
Maybe.
Did you record me filling that last little thing? Okay, well off camera, I closed the hole. And now I'm gonna let it cool down for a minute, and then I'm gonna hit it with some 40 grit sandpaper and smooth it out and see what it looks like. Way to go. And this is why I don't buy firm grips anymore. Look at that. The stitches just came out all by itself. See that? So don't buy this brand. All right, let's do it. Speed it up a little bit. All right, hole filled. This will be, the actual brace will sit on top of here that the seat attaches to. That won't even be seen, as I mentioned, so that's good. I got all these other holes to fill. It's a very slow process, so let me get started. Less talking, more working. All right, and there, look at that. Those two big holes are gone. That thing, I tell you what, that magnetic spoon is the best. I had to figure out how to use it to get it as flush as possible. Once I figured that out, you can see the results here. So really, really good. I've got this hole to do here, and then this gash tear here. And then I'm gonna move over and just keep knocking these holes out that were caused by drilling. I mean, that looks really good. Caused by drilling out the spot welds. Got any beer waiting for me or anything, honey?
I'm just waiting for you you to give me the signal.
Consider this the signal.
All right.
Because after this weld, I think I'm gonna take a break. All right, we're doing some more welding here. I'm plugging up those holes you saw so far. I'm really happy with the results. Take a beer break. Let it cool. Whew, it's getting hot. You saw a lot of blow through, even on the thicker metal from the donor, and I have it set to 0.9, it's still blowing through. But once the puddle starts, you move quickly and you just fill the puddle front to back or back to front and just move that molten lava over the hole. Simple as that. All right, I've moved on to the next hole. I've got this one all plugged up. I see a few little pinholes in there. I'm gonna come in and zap those up real quick. But this one here, I had to use a dent fender shaper or whatever tool. And I used it here and I went on the inside underneath while Yogi Mama held this here and hammered it flat. But I don't know if you can see that inside there, but it's pretty jaggedy. And I don't think it'll be a good weld if I don't file that away. So I did bring out my file kit, different sizes. If you don't have one of these in your toolbox, you may need to get one. Anyway, let's get the filing. I wanna make sure that it's nice and smooth. Still nice and smooth. I'm ready. I'm making some pretty good progress here. I've got these holes plugged up. I think I got a little bit of a pinhole right there. I'm not too concerned about that. This one here is a little bit of a challenge because one, it's underneath this other sheet metal. I had to bend it up. But two, it's really rusty here and the metal's really thin, so I'm pretty hesitant on taking any more off. But I got most of the hole filled, but you can see that there's some gaps along the corner here. I'm waiting for the metal to cool off. And then between the two welds there, you see, I need to get my arc in there. This one, the more and more I look at it, the more and more concerned I am. But I think I can just come here like this and make a quick little square or rectangle patch and fix that up. So you can see the little pinholes here and around. So I see some spot welds. I think I'm gonna get lucky and just cut it from here to here to here. All right, I've got the rectangle cut out. I cut out a little bit more meat on the other side of the circle. I'm not sure why, I don't know. Whatever, it's not really gonna matter. But I'm cutting out the rust. That's the important part. So I've got my 3.5 inch, 3 inch cutoff wheel. This is what it's meant for. Let's go to work. All right. Some seam sealer. I'll have to clean all that back if I plan on getting a good weld. I think I did good here. This is really thick metal. Back up to an 18 gauge, which I like. All right, good deal. That looks good. Let's fix it. And this here is the metal that I cut out. And you can probably see the pinholes coming through the metal there. And so that's why I cut out such a big chunk, because I need to put some good, healthy metal back in its place. But hey, man, if that was the only hole I had to do, I'd be much happier, but not the case. I got a lot of holes. And there. Now that took a lot longer than I expected it to. Tack weld here and here and here. And then I can remove the magnet and finish it up. Good deal, finally. Awesome that looks. My forehead is itchy itchy. All my skin is really itchy. The metal, it's in my pores. Yeah.
Poor boy.
Pores, Michael. I'm so done with welding, man.
I'm sure your audience is done with it.
Yeah, I can tell by the lack of viewership.
Like, geez, is he welding?
Still, dude, it's welding. It's not a big deal. All right, here we go. Ooh, that sounded crappy. Let's try that again. That's better. There might have been a little bit of rust there at the end. No big deal. There we go. There. Okay. So that's tack welded in, and now I'll go in there and do what I've been doing for like the last how long has it been? 6 months? Something like that. Yeah, so I'm gonna go in there and just do my thing. And there. Not bad. I think my welds are getting better. I'm gonna go in there and grind these down, and let's take a look at what they look like when I'm done. Wow, that was quick. It's amazing what 40 grit can do. Let me turn on the light. All right, there. It looks really good. Some of my best welds. Guess I should expect it to be my best weld since this is like my 20th weld or 200th weld. I don't know, I lost count. All right, but you can see a lot of the powder, ferrous material here. I gotta clean all this up. I wanna see where I'm at. I've got all of the holes plugged up. You can see that, there's a hole plugged in. These are crop circles here. No, just kidding. These are actually from the magnets underneath. Watch, let's see if I can make it do it. All right, let's see. Abracadabra. Look, that's a magnet under there. It's the little things. All right, I'm gonna clean all this up. And this is what it looks like from underneath. Really, really good. I'm patting myself on the back right now. But yeah, so I'm gonna grind this up, patch it up. I'll probably do the test on my seam sealer as well as the rubberized undercoating right on this spot. Why not, right? But it looks really good. I'm gonna grind it up. Let's see what it looks like afterwards. And there. Nice and smooth, smooth enough, right? I mean, I'm gonna be putting on like 3 millimeters worth of rubberized undercoating. But the first thing I wanna do is sand down all of this blowout and soot here, you see, and just get it nice and clean, and then I'm gonna hit it with some rust encapsulator. All right, I'm gonna be using the Eastwood rust encapsulator. It's a matte gray. I'm gonna test it out on that spot. I have no idea, I've never used this thing, but it's supposed to be, you know, fire and forget. And then when I'm done, I will put on some seam sealer right over it to cover it up permanently. It says you can spray it right over the rust, but I don't care. 3 to 4 hours. Put another sweet little coat right there. All right. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing on the inside of the car, just in the area that I just welded, because I'm not gonna be putting that reinforcement brace. If you take a look at this side, on the driver's side, move that green towel out of the way. Thank you, sweetie. You can point out the Dynamat there. So that is the sound dampening Dynamat that they put in from the factory. I had the same thing on this side, so as you can see, I won't be doing any more welding on this side, so I'm ready to prep it, and which I've done, and I've gotten it cleaned up. I put a little bit of AP cleaner after I used my my wire wheel, as well as this purple paint stripper attachment for my roll lock. So now I'm ready to just knock this out. You know, I'm not really worried about the other rust, because I'm gonna come in and strip all that down. I just don't want any more rust here while I'm working on everything else. So we put another little quick layer. ready to move on, but not today. It is, what is it? Sunday, Bloody Mary Day. So I'm gonna get some Bloody Marys, magic of video editing. I'll be back at it here in a minute. All right, I'm back. It's been about a week since I was working on this car. I took a break. I had some other work things to do, and life must go on. So I'm back at it. I have ground down all of the rust as much as I'm comfortable with in the areas that were infected other than the floorboard. So you can see some rusting here, but you listen, that's nice and clean because I already cleaned it up. A little bit of rust in here too. So I'm gonna keep using the rust encapsulator on this half of the car because I've already cleaned this much up. I can pretty much get it all the way here, but I have to finish up on this side at a later date because what I want to do is I want to keep this thing from flash rusting as I continue to piece this thing back together. One of the things that I still need to do is weld this bolt back into the car. No big deal, weld, spot weld. But right now I'm gonna hit it with some rust encapsulator so I can stop grinding this down every now and then and getting the rust. And I wanna do the same thing under here. And you can see what I mean by flash rusting. All this red stuff is flash rusting. Although my garage is climate controlled, it still has humidity. Every time I open the garage, humidity rushes back in and boom, flash rusting. So I'm gonna hit it with the wire wheel one more time and then I'm gonna paint it over with the encapsulator and then we'll get back up there and finish up the inside before we start phase 2. All right, it's been a few days. Actually, I lie. It's been about almost 2 weeks since I've been working on this car. I've got other things I'm doing. I think I've said that many times. What I need to do, obviously, the end goal is to get that same riser you see there here. That's where the actual seat sits on. But before I do that, I got to make sure that everything here is closed up, meaning I should probably put a seam sealer, and I'm going to do a seam sealer here all the way. But I'm going to check fitment, because what I don't want to do is have seam sealer interfering with the welds. I don't think it will, but let me put the riser in place in the approximate location of where it should be, and we'll take a look and see what we're dealing with. And that's what it looks like with the riser in. So as you can see, that's the driver's side, and this is the passenger side. So this is the end result of what I need to do is get this thing welded back in. All right, so with that being said, you can see that I have seam sealer running here without any interference, possibly some interference right there. No interference anywhere along here. Maybe I'll have to go a little thin here to make sure that the weld doesn't interfere. I may have to grind it back. And then of course, on this side, all the way down, it looks good. It's not quite fitted perfectly because you can see the holes don't line up to where the spot welds used to be, but that's because I got to hammer it back into that corner and then push that flat back down, but not until I deal with the rust there. But I want to take care of the seam sealer and get it all cured up. You can see this is where it all goes, and that metal bolt, as soon as I can find it, yeah, here it is, goes right here. See? And that all goes together. Okay, so this is it. It's made by Eastwood. It's a brushable seam sealer. I'm using an old stinky brush because this stuff's really stinky and I probably won't reuse it. It's supposed to be brushable, so I'm gonna go brush it on and I'll take you with me. I would say that this stuff has the consistency of, I don't know, wet paste. See? Yeah, it's pretty thick. So I'm just gonna apply it here, give it a go. I'm taking it right off the lid since they were nice enough to give me some extra. And I'm gonna be very generous down here due to the fact that I messed up some of the access port or whatever you want to call this in there. Look, I made it disappear. It's going to take a couple of layers there to cover that up. Now some people might say, Yogi, that's overkill. You don't really need to do all the seam sealing stuff. You should do it underneath. Well, for that I say, hey man, if you haven't seen the condition of this car, then you haven't been watching my videos, because anything that I can do to keep water from leaking into the car, and when it does, be able to hold it and not rust, this is the stuff. This is it. From what I can tell, it's not a science, you know, just kind of slather it on there. Whew. I'm getting high on this smell, so watch out for vapors. Like I said, I want to come back and hit this right there. This whole area is really thin. I was unable to weld the tiny little pinholes in the sheet metal itself because it was so thin, and I didn't want to cut out that thin metal any more than I already have. So I compromised and decided on seam sealer. I got a few welders telling me the same thing, you know, seam seal it, you're good. So, hey man, seam sealing it is. Gonna go up here, just like slathering on paste. And I'm gonna do the same thing underneath. And I wanna go thick down this thin on this line because I'm getting close to the welds. And I'll just have to sand it off anyway. Yes, I'm even gonna seam seal that flat ground area. Every area is gonna get seam sealed. I don't like rust. Yeah, one other area here, cannot forget, is this area right there. This tiny little square that I had to cut out because it was all rusted. Just gonna do that. Just like that. All right, let's go underneath. Okay, just real quick, so my GoPro is overheating again. This is what it looks like after the first coat. Not bad. Looks pretty OEM if you ask me. I don't know. Whatever. But it looks good. It's all sealed up. I'm gonna let it dry and cure, and then I'm gonna come back and do another coat. So I gotta prep this next. I'm gonna grind down the edges there, get the paint off of it, get it ready for welding. We are close, folks. I wanna put this seat in today. Oh, I bet you were wondering whether or not I was gonna repaint the interior, and I said to myself, no, why? But hey, I was at O'Reilly's. I found a color that was really close to the original color. Not, you know, perfectly matched, but it doesn't matter. It's going to be covered. Kind of a weird spray pattern on this perfect match. It kind of comes out in a splattered way. I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with the metallic material in there. I have no idea. But I'm not painting the outside of a car. I'm painting the inside of a passenger well that no one is gonna see. See, just kind of drips down. But yeah, this is gonna be covered up, but I want it to look good. So this is the way it's gonna go in. This is the outside of the car. So obviously before I do anything, I gotta clean this thing up. You know I'm not gonna put this back into the car with all of this buildup. It's like pollen and just, you know, sitting outside in the elements until I was ready for it. So I want to go scrub this up and get it ready for grinding, and then I'll come back. And there. All right. Not too bad. AP cleaner, a little soap and water, get it all nice and clean. Now I can manhandle this thing and grind all the paint off the bottom here. Now what I want to try to do, and I may not be successful, but what I want to try to do here is just grind around the holes and try to leave as much paint as possible. It may not work. The reason why I want to do that is I want to eliminate as much bare metal as possible because I'm not going to be able to get to these after it's all spot welded back in. Let's see what I can do. I've got my die grinder. All I got to do is strip this down. I'll probably use a flap disc and knock it out really quick. So here we go. You know what time it is. Drum roll, please. Yes. It's time to put that boy back in there. Using that. Let's fix it. There we go. It's a good progress.
Hey, Yogi.
Yeah.
What's with that hat?
My beret?
Yeah.
Oh, it's to keep my hair from getting contaminated with metal shavings and fiberglass. So,
smart.
yeah, protecting our, you know, our bed. I don't want to carry that in because, you know, I don't shower before I come to bed.
One of these days, I'm going to run a magnet over your head.
Yeah, I'm kind of scared what you'll find in there. Okay, what I need to do, so we're real close. Let me take that for a second. So we're real close. I'm about 1/4 of an inch off, and I think it's because I gotta hammer it back into that corner there. So I'm gonna get my dead blow and continue to try to push it and encourage it to go into place. Those spot welds don't line up, and I'm wondering if it's because if it's from a different car, you know?
Maybe they're not exactly the same on every vehicle.
Because some of them are, you see?
Yeah.
But others are not. What I want to do is kind of indicate where my new bare metal spots should be, because it's pretty obvious that the spot welds on the donor are not quite in the same spot. It's weird, but it is what it is. All right, the piece is in. The final piece, the piece of resistance right here in place. All I'm gonna do is do a couple of tack welds here and here to get it where I want it, and then I'm gonna hammer down some of the flange parts that are not quite flush, because with spot welding, you wanna make sure there's no gap between the two panels when you do it. So let's do it. And remember, Yogi Mama, I don't have insurance, so try not to kill yourself.
Try not to kill me.
Me? No.
It was an accident, officer. I swear.
She just got in the way of the arc and electrocuted herself. Now she's welded to my car.
That makes it worth more, right?
Maybe. All right, here we go. Okay, now I can see. I did it. It's in. I'm done. Let's put a seat in.
No.
Okay, fine. Got a few more welds to do. I'm gonna go around and fill as many of these spot welds that I feel are necessary, probably all of them. Then I'll bring you back in and we'll take a look at the final result, but big check mark. I have a graphic going on right now. Big check mark, fixed rust problem. Boom. It's in. All right.
Looks so good.
All right, check it out. I am making really good progress. Let me adjust my camera. Making really good progress on these welds. I started with some tack welds and then I'm slowly filling them in like this. Let me turn that light on there. So what I'm gonna do now is I wanna make them all look similar to this. Why? I don't know. I like it that way. Is it necessary? No, it's not. But all in all, this project is almost done. And look, I'm pulling on it. That's not going anywhere. All the welds have been taken care of. Not absolutely perfect, but they don't have to be. They are going to be hidden, but you can see that they look pretty good. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hit it with some rust encapsulator. More of that stuff that I've been using. Here it is. All right. It's by Eastwood. It's a flat gray. And I'm just going to go over all the welds with this. I need to do this for like 2 minutes. You want to hang out? Whew, this stuff stinks. Okay, holding my breath. I gotta tell you, I am so glad this is over. Welding's done. Yay for that. Now, for the piece, I already said the piece of resistance, so I have to use another term. Now for the final piece. Let's get this chair back in, huh? This chair has not been in the car since I bought it over a year ago. I had to take it out, as you know, and clean up all that rust. And this is where we're at right now with the passenger seat. I've got the passenger seat set up on my welding table, ready to go. Mounts are good. You can see some of the damage, the rust damage reached the frame. I'm not gonna worry about this just yet because I gotta get the leather all redone anyway. So when we take all this off, I'll respray the frame and lube up all the bushings and anywhere where there are pivot points. So with that said, I have a seat rail, and I've done a video over a year ago where I took care of the driver's seat right there and replaced the seat rails because that too was also seized up, but I bought them in a pair. So this is the passenger seat. So I'm going to take some of the parts off here because I don't need this bracket because I already have it installed in this car, and more than likely it'll need to be lubed up and stuff, but you can see, well, actually no it doesn't. It is pretty. Oh, but I can see that the hinges, there, see, the hinges are pretty seized up. So I'll probably lube that up and then clean it up at a later date. Like I said, I gotta do the upholstery. Okay, so I'm gonna get the rest of these bolts off here and to get this frame on there. And that just comes right off. And I could replace them, but then I'd have to go in there and disconnect that bolt, which is what I thought I had to do. So I took this gross panel off, and you can see that, yes, it is indeed gross. I needed to take it off anyway because I'm respraying that as well. Future video coming up on how to handle and recondition plastic. So stay tuned for that. But if you zoom in here, you can see some of the damage here from the rust, some of that right there, but hey, repairable compared to what we've dealt with recently. All right, so let's get this thing in here and we'll attach it and then get it in the car. Okay, pretty straightforward process. Pops right into there. And I'll use the nuts that I took off here to reattach it. And then on the back, you can see right there where it goes in. So I'll be taking care of that as well. And then here is where the seatbelt latch attaches to, which is a later step. All right, let's get this going. I'm gonna do the back hinge first, and I'm gonna lube it up just a little bit just to make things easier on everybody. And it's a T45 bolt. I'm gonna have to do it manually first so that I can get the threads lined up. Yeah, right there. Oh yeah, very nice. Okay, let's do the other one. All right, and then the other two are right in here. You can see, go right in here, and a couple of nuts, and we'll lock it in place. And there, a little word of warning though, attach these two nuts first on the front because you can't pivot the frame up to give you enough clearance to stick a ratchet or a wrench or anything in there to get that to connect. So that's that. Now I got a couple of more things I need to do. This piston here helps recline and incline the back of the seat. I gotta connect this back together. Not a big deal. It just gotta stick a pin in there and hold it in place. And I can clearly see that there are some things missing here, here and here. It's probably some kind of netting or whatever. But like I said, I'm getting all of that reupholstered, and hopefully that will be taken care of as well. So let me get this connected. I have a pin here that goes just like that and connects this ram, hydraulic ram, to there. So let me get that going. All right, let me take this tensioner spring off. All right. All right, I gotta pull this thing forward here. I think I found a means of doing it. I'm pretty close. I'm just gonna hit it here in the center and tap it gently. Almost there. Look at that, beautiful. All right, let me put a little WD-40 right there. You know, after doing projects like this welding project, there we go. It's an 8mm. You got to clean your garage afterwards, and especially when you do metal work, it seems that needs to be done more than ever. That's good enough because of the mess that it makes on the ground and metal shavings everywhere. Let's get this spring back on. Try not to kill yourself. Damn, this is gonna hurt if it hits me. I think I could just slide the rails back. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this had to be done anyway because I gotta get to the bolts in the car. And the only way to do that is to slide the seat forward or backwards so that you can get to the bolt holes. See? God dang it, that's gonna kill me. Let's try this way. This seems safer, maybe. There we go. Okay. And that's gonna give you the tension you need. Okay. All right, so we're back into the passenger area. And what I wanna do, if you haven't figured it out already, is I need to thread chase these threads here. Primarily because there's paint in them. And the other reason is because it's been sitting out in the elements and I can see a little bit of rust. Let me turn that light on. A little bit of rust there, nothing too bad, mainly superficial. But nevertheless, no rust. This is a zero rust car. That's my goal. I'm not quite there yet because you can clearly see that the front of the cabin needs to be taken care of. But this area is going to be rust-free because I made it rust-free. All right, so let's chase these threads. So first thing you want to do, obviously, is to put a little lube in there. No big deal. Here as well. And the last one. And then you want to thread chase it. And I believe that this is an M10 1.5. I'm almost certain it is. Let's go ahead and give it a chase. Oh yeah, look at that guess. You can hear the crunchies in there. And I'm basically just getting all of the paint and rust and debris that may have settled into threads. Let's take a look at the chaser afterwards. Much better, no paint in there. So let's do it again. Let's compare it. See, that's got all painted up in there. Let's get it in there. Nice and clean, man. Can't believe that all of this stuff rusted out. Now look in there. No paint. Paint. All of this stuff was rusted out so bad. I had to buy new bolts too to mount the seat. Oh, and yes, I know I have a hole there, That's for a plastic plug. Not sure what that's all about. It's always a good idea to chase the threads, get them lubed up, to get them clean. Look at that, no more rust. All right, let's do it. I think if I come in, yeah, like this. Whew. I'm gonna be reminded very quickly how things are cramped in this car. All right, there's some alignment holes there that line up with the dowels on the seat here. So let's do that. There we go. Wow. Crazy. Oh wow, that raises the height. That's what that does. Okay, cool. I needed it to do that anyway. See, I didn't even know it did that because everything was all rusted up. Ah, the other one is not lined up. There. Okay. Oh yeah, sweet sound of success. Oh my God, I'm laughing. Lever. Slide it all the way back. All right, FPV view on. First time getting into the passenger seat and not falling backwards because it's rusted out. Watch my head. Haven't been in this Porsche for a while. Oh my goodness. Look, I'm in. All right, let's slide it up. Good. Back, forward, back. Great, it's in. Look, I'm rocking. Rocking back and forth. Nothing. It's been a long time coming. Let's see what Yogi Mama thinks. Wow, what do you think?
I can't believe I'm in the passenger seat and it's not rocking back and forth.
I know, it's amazing.
You fixed it.
It only took a year working on engine stuff, and now I'm back to working on the interior, and then it took like 4 or 5 videos to finally get it done.
It's almost a good thing that the engine had that issue, so you could get this done.
Yeah, I agree. And there's a lot more to do in this car. I got to clean the interior. It's covered in dust, and most of that is ferrous. Even though I had it covered, it gets around. But anyway, that concludes the welding.
It gets around?
It gets around. Hey, man, I'm gonna watch it. This is a family show. Well, that concludes this series of videos on welding to repair a rust problem on my 2002 Porsche 911. What's next? Well, obviously we still got to get the engine. I'm still waiting for LN Engineering to ship back my engine block, and then I'll have it all cleaned and bead blasted, and then we'll slap that bad boy back together.
What about the interior?
That's what I think I'm going to do next. Is I'm going to work on the interior. I need to source new carpeting. I think I'm gonna go with a black carpet interior with gray contrast, and then I'm gonna find somebody to work on the leather seats as well. A lot to do still at Yogi's Garage. Stick around. If this is your first time visiting, thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to subscribe, hit that thumbs up. You know what to do. And we'll see you next time on Yogi's Garage.
Bye.
Microphone check, make it a microphone check. Give it a microphone, I make the microphone dead. Don't step to me, newbie, I could truly be moody. I could have played the fucking Grinch in the movies. I've been a part-time shadow cat, part-time, that is not a